do you consider family how you define that, whether it's blood related or chosen? I'm open to how the person or anyone defines family for them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might be me and my girlfriends because we are a tight family.
Yeah, that could be a family portrait as well, for
I
sure.
love it. I love it. All right, so tell me, give me a deep dive into why this is important and why this matters, and why is this a good time for this?
hmm So I graduated from my master's program here at the School of Art in 2020, and during that time, during a lot of uprising and protests regarding George Floyd and a lot of other, senseless acts of violence amongst African American men, there was a grant that I was given to do a response to what's going on um, in the world, and they wanted artists to do something in the community. And for a while, I wanted to do something directly with people and photography. My background is in journalism, and so I think that I've always had a kind of like second nature to like just work with people, whatever that may be, in any format. And so, my inspiration comes from my family photo album. I think that was my first introduction to photography. That was my first photo book. I just kept thinking about how we need to come back together as a community and like what that can look like. And I just, what if we made a huge family photo album of New Haven, where we just invited family, guests, other, people who live around here, and make like a nice portrait for each group of people. And kind of make this photo book, this kind of like a collective memory project I'm thinking about. And so I wanted to do some basic research as to like, okay, what do we have here in New Haven? What not only what do we have here, what's also just like accessible. And so I'm like, okay, like let me just go to like one of the libraries, one of the museums, and I walked in and I said, hey, I'm just curious, what do you have photographically about Black people? Just anything, I just want to know. And the only thing that came out was like this short little like box of just like these random photographs, unorganized, not really properly named, not really handled with care. And I just noticed that like all the photographs that featured Black people was in relationship to buildings for redevelopment sites. And this was photographs during like, I guess, the urban renewal project here in New Haven, the model city, project. And the way the photographs were taken was just really interesting to me. Like I can really understand the intentionality of the photographer here that just really was, I felt really violent. And I kind of said to myself, God forbid something happened to the world, and the only thing left were these institutions. What do they have on us? How will we tell our stories? How are our stories being preserved? And if this is it, we got a lot of work to do. And so it had me thinking about, well, before I tackle any other family, I need to practice what I preach. How am I handling my own family archives? So I went to my father's house. I was like, we need to take those photographs out the garage, clean the cobwebs, peel, all the film that's not sticking together. We need, carefully take it apart and take our time. And so I kind of think of it as this like radical act of wellness, for African Americans and for our narrative and for our stories. And I finally finished properly archiving our photographs, and the photo negatives were just as important. And it really felt great to like kind of bond with my dad in that way. And so now I just feel like I want to do that for others, and not only just make a portrait, but also do the workshop with them where I can maybe go to their home or they can come to Art Space and I can show them like how to take care of your photographs. So like, you never know who's next in line to kind of take that on and save our stories.
Oh, that is so important because I mean, I grew up in a family that photos were very important. We were always taking pictures. Now, the children were always taking pictures of my mother, and her sisters were never in these pictures. So I've got photos of my mother, putting her hands up or turning her back, or I mean, just no pictures of her dead on, neither or her sisters. So they always sort of shied away. But there's lots and lots of pictures of me and my cousins and
Right.
my siblings, and they're in a box and in photo albums.
Yeah. What does that mean to be in a box? I think what really started this jump for me, I think, about archive was my grandmother, who migrated from Opelousas, Louisiana, to New York City with her 9-month-old baby, which was my dad. Just her baby, suitcase, off she went. She was one of 14 brothers and sisters, and Now she's in a position where she's losing her memory, and we have her, in the facility being looked after and cared for, but now she's no longer in a position to tell me these stories. And at the time I was too young to even like understand what migration was, or to even ask those kind of questions. Wasn't really talked about in school. And so now I'm left with these, notebooks, videotapes, audio tapes, just fractures of just like missing pieces of information. And what do you do with that? And there's something to be said about Black women aging in small spaces too. And what is that about? This woman who, like, her story was on the verge of disappearing. And so, like, not only do we need to protect our stories, but like, we need to protect Black women too, So, I mean, she's part of like this epic Southern history, this epic American history. And her story is just nowhere to be found, So I'm working through archival material within my practice to think about fractures and ruptures, what it means to fall apart, what it means to kind of like look through those cracks and have it leave spaces and room for imagination. Imagination is key. Imagination is how, we've been able to survive, to think about, freedom, to think about hope and progress, So I try to add those elements into the work that I'm making.
Oh, I love it. I mean, it is said that Frederick Douglass was the most photographed man of his time.
Yeah.
Because he deliberately and intentionally wanted folks to see Black people who have never seen Black people. And he wanted to show us what we could be and who we are and all of that. And so that's why there's so many pictures of him throughout his life, because he wanted to show Black and white people that Black people can be seen, and this is who we are. So,
exactly. Yeah.
So we have some relationship to archival history and photographs and family and all of that. So,
and it's funny that you were mentioning earlier about like your family, like kind of being really protective and possessive about their photographs, because my family too is just thinking about like, you would have thought that you were trying to take away like their money or something else, but like their photographs, oh no, you're not having that, It's like and it's something that's really sacred to have something where you can kind of see yourself back into, something where you can like reflect on, and you got to think about like, art photography is a particular luxury. For a long time, photography wasn't awarded to us for people of color to even know and learn and use. So I think Frederick Douglass like knew the power of photography, knew the power of the image and portrait. So yeah, there's like a long history that for us.
I love it. It feels like the ushering in of family portraits. I don't know if families take pictures in the way I remember. My mother would have a photographer come to the house, right? Because they used to be traveling photographers, right? They knock on your door, we'll come take a picture. You buy these pictures for X amount of dollars, these portraits, and these would be yours. That's how before you would go to JCPenney's or Sears, right? There was these people that would go around and knock on your door and say, "We'll come back on this day. Be dressed up, be ready, and we'll take really nice pictures of your family." So I remember those days. I don't know if people take pictures of themselves, of family port. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, this day and age, I feel, obviously people using their cell phones, which, photography is constantly evolving and also moving back at the same time. There's still like this made like high interest in film again. So you see a lot of young kids using Polaroids, and that's really exciting. But the days of walking down the corner local photo studio is not really there anymore. So yeah, I think it's just constantly evolving. I mean, I appreciate having that tangible object, that photograph, that you can make with your hands and get to someone. I think it's more personal in that way. Nothing against digital photography, nothing against cell phone photography. I think it has its place. Okay, don't hate me for that. But yeah, there's something to be said about the way we're taking photographs now. I mean, I was just using a disposable camera for a fellowship for another archive, like photography fellowship program I was part of, and we were using disposable cameras to like kind of capture the moment, using Super 8 film, and
oh my God,
yes, there's still a community out there using that work. There's still an appreciation for that, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's coming back, but it comes in waves. It comes in seasons, and certain generations like want to come and pick it up again. So yeah,
I mean, I love that these young people are using their cameras because they're on the go, right? They're on the go, and they're doing all these things. They're doing reels. They're doing all these things. They're making films with their phones. Yeah. They're capturing, I mean, and we've seen the impact of these camera phones capturing crimes as they happen, right? And in ways that we would have never been able to see,
right?
Years ago, right? Or 20 years ago. I find it all very fascinating. So as an artist, do you draw from all these opportunities and all these ways in which we can capture one another?
Do I draw from it? Like just like, I mean, I use it, I definitely use it. But I think it's interesting in the ways photography is asking or calling people to bear witness, as you were mentioning, bear witness to any certain crime that's happening as a way of protection, and so, thinking about, the beginnings of photography, how, it was used in such a violent way, if you think about the Harvard case, the paparazzi photograph,
yes,
record a cop, abusing someone or harming someone. We've come a long way, but it's still like that back and forth and harm, but protection, representation, and like the lines kind of get blurry. I think it really comes down to intentionality, what you're using for, and then the power. It's a powerful tool. So I mean,
it is a powerful tool, and and the Harvard thing, the family wants the pictures back.
Yeah, I think I think where we left off with that is she lost the case, and I kind of knew that. I mean, because technically, like the person who takes the photograph, right, they own it. But however, this person did not consent. This person wasn't considered a human being. So like, where do we draw the line? And like, what if Harvard what if you just gave it away? Like, what if you just gave it away? What are some radical ideas? What are some radical ways to like kind of like make change as all these institutions are talking about diversity and like initiative and community practice and community work, and like not really doing their part or asking brown and Black folks to do the labor, while they sit back and watch. So, yeah.
I mean, for me, it just seems rather simple that they just listen. This is their ancestors, and give them their damn pictures and stop using them. But
they're looking for particular proof, and what is proof? Truth and fact, and they have particular kind of access and power, and it's just. I don't know. That's a difficult one.
So tell me about the exhibit and what you want us to know and feel and think about when we participate.
So this is the Happy and Bob Doran Artist in Residency. It's a collaboration with Art Space New Haven, and so it's me and like 4 other artists, different disciplines and practices. And my piece is a video piece drawn from local history here in New Haven, that I came across regarding the potential HBCU that could have been here, the first Black college that could have been here. I'm sure you've heard about it.
Yes.
It was always out there, the information, but it's just entering the public conscious in a particular way now that I'm, seeing and feeling. And so I kind of want to respond to that in video, because I felt that I didn't grow up knowing about HBCUs. I don't think I've heard about HBCUs until like maybe after college. It wasn't really, awarded to me, that kind of information. My father was like, old school, like, listen, you go to work, you go to school, and that's it. There was no time to think about, go to a place where they celebrate and love you, That there was no, what? Go to school and make it work. And so when I have friends who went to HBCUs, I know some other people went to HBCUs, and
I'm a grad of a HBCU.
Right. So like, I'm always hearing these like these stories about like how like wonderful and magical. I mean, like everyone has a different experience, but I get the impression it was like people call it the Black Mecca, and like I just feel like oh man, like what could have been like for me to go there, especially as someone who is in New Haven, went to Yale in New Haven, knowing that Yale had a play and like shutting down this idea. Um, what could have been was kind of like that um, interest for me, the source of inspiration to make the video work. So I'm using archival footage of my sister who was part of a marching band in high school. And I was just pulling elements of what I believe or what I've come to understand what HBCU was about, and kind of making work out of that. So I'm using archival footage from her. She didn't go to HBCU, but like I think for her, she represented HBCU. She represented a certain Blackness that I couldn't find anywhere else as a mixed girl, grew up in Long Island in the 90s. You know, like there wasn't, I didn't have that, you know, so she was that beacon of light for me to like navigate that space. And so I'm using, you know, inspiration and a source from there. I went back to the site that was a proposed site, a potential site to build the HBCU, which would have been under the intersection of I-91, I-95 here in New Haven. Mm-hmm. And I brought in local high school marching band students to activate that space. And so I'm kind of, it's a kind of experimental video piece. It's still in progress, but it's something that I just felt compelled to make and wanted to kind of tap into. I really felt the way about like just being in this weird space, you know, being in Yale, and like how anytime Black people come with ideas to try something new, how it gets shut down in the history in that time. And it really spoke to me. I thought it was a really interesting fact to kind of come across, and I wanted to make work in response to that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And you know, you doing that though, just honors that land, that land, that potential ground, that story. It gives it real, it just centers it in our consciousness in a way, because we can't see it, right? Like we can't see it. We can only imagine what it could have been like. But those of us that have gone and graduated from HBCUs, we understand the magic of that. And you can't help but wonder, man, if there was one here, and the first of its kind in the Northeast would have been
the first, like 22 years before the actual first grant degree HBCU. Like what? Yes. You know?
Can you imagine? Yeah. Can you imagine? Bragging rights alone.
Oh man. So, and it's interesting because I'm also introducing so Ralph Lauren did like a recent ad campaign.
I saw that.
Right.
Spelman Morehouse.
A whole line, collection of like the Black HBCU aesthetic clothing line.
Yeah.
And I found his commercial, and I'm kind of blending his commercial with my experience, you know, juxtaposing that, you know, because what he was saying, and like, you just know how this kind of goes, you know, like people see Black people for the first time and go, oh, like, let's, you know, how do we capitalize on this? You know, how do we capitalize on their experience? How do we profit off of, like, you know, so it's a weird mix.
I mean, it's a weird, I mean, because I've listened to people talk about it in ways that might be troublesome, ways that might be celebrated. Listen, we're wearing Ralph Lauren clothes anyway. We were wearing them.
I mean, but could he have partnered up with local Black designers? I mean, the person
I agree with you. There could have been a lot of things. I'm hoping that the relationship between Spelman and Morehouse was lucrative for them.
Right? I hear it's not. I'm hearing other things too, or in terms of like the money that's being used to support it. It's going to all HBCUs, not just Morehouse and Spelman. So like dividing that amount of money barely puts a dent, is what I'm coming to understand about it. But don't quote me on that. But it's just kind of always these like quick efforts that, you know, they just want to look like they're part of the culture, you know, look like they're helping, but really like they're not doing like the hard work behind it.
Well, you know, they discovering us. You know, HBCUs have been here,
you know,
quite some time, and we've always been fashionable. Always been on the cutting edge of cool and fashionable.
Right.
And they have always, and you know, white folks have always taken their cues from what we have done fashionably and aesthetically. So So yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I know we wear Ralph Lauren. I guess I'm flattered. I guess I'm annoyed. I'm guess,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But
All the
that's the
things.
power of imagery though, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there'll be people who will see that and will have no idea that Black people went to college like that. You know what I mean? Like it's just out of there.
Yeah.
Realm of
Listen,
possibility.
I mean, there are people, yeah, like who are still freaking out like that there are, HBCUs are just existing. Like they're finding out for the first time, like there's just so much that like people don't know about us and are just finding out for the first time. And yeah, it's like, yeah, there's pluses and minuses, but I don't think it's, always our job to educate, and
Oh,
once again,
I'm in
it's
that
more,
space now, Allison.
it's too much like this constant labor, and it's just like, you have your smartphone, look it up.
I don't want to talk about my hair. I don't want to talk about skincare. I don't want to educate them on anything.
Yeah,
I don't want to force them to read Black authors. I don't want to force them. I just don't. I don't.
Yeah.
I did that for a long time because you always think, well,
Mhm.
if they just get the information, if we just share with them what we have, that they will just embrace it and love it. And some have, lots do. But it's still a heavy lift. It's
Right.
still a heavy lift. So now I'm like, you know what? You got all the technology. Immerse yourself.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. You're smart. You're smart. You can do it.
You can do it. You can do it. I believe in you.
I believe in you, Exactly.
So for this exhibition, that you've worked on and put your heart and soul into this thing. What do you want us to feel? Because I didn't get that part yet. What do you want when we walk into this space and see this work or have this experience with you? What do you want us to know?
Well, at least in regards to what I'm really looking forward to and really want to work hard at is the programming combo with the exhibition, like the family portrait that's still part of the exhibition. And so I think towards the end of June, um, I want to have a public display, like a public gallery showing of the photographs that I make with the families. Because you're just celebrating Black love, celebrating Black families, being seen in not I won't say not being seen in a new way, but just to be seen, you know. Yeah, I want people to feel, yeah, I want people to feel seen. I want people to feel heard. I want people to feel supported. I want people to feel like they, have options. It's not for me to tell them how they should feel. I just hope that they know that I'm coming from a good place, and I'm coming to, really be part of my community.
Mm-hmm. And so, do you have a idea of when you might want to display these? Will they be at our space, or because I can offer some suggestions?
No, well, yeah, well, we have two options. Steve Roberts, who's another local guy here who worked on the skateboard.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So
yes.
I love what he's doing with that. And so there's like a parking lot, and also like a brick wall that I'm hoping to hang some work along the wall, some work along like the parking lot. Also with maybe also partnering with Stetson Library, the new library.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
About doing two places where people can come and gather and kind of just be in community, be together.
I love it. I love it. I love Steve with that. I mean, he's been teaching skateboard for a very long time.
Yeah.
From a raggedy little parking lot over there in the Dixwell community to a honest to goodness skateboard park in the Dixwell community to
I love seeing more Black and brown folks on a skateboard. And
oh my God, I saw a young sister walking with her skateboard, and she was a young sister, but she was fly as all get up. Like she just had a whole vibe, and she had her skateboard in her hand. She was on her way to the skateboard park over there in the Dixwell community.
Yeah.
And I just like, look at that girl go.
Like we're out here creating spaces to be seen, and then I just want to be a part of that and do my part.
I love it. So where do you want to go next with your artistry?
Where do I want to go next?
Is there a natural progression, trajectory? Is there like out of this comes what? Or maybe it doesn't even out of this comes, it's done.
You mean this project or like in general or
in
like?
general, like, what else holds your attention?
I just want to keep creating, keep making photographs, like I said before, like a lot of inspiration for the work is the idea of history, maintenance, preservation. There's new histories to uncover. There's new histories to like make work around. Not just stuff related to history, but like just like also like just taking a stroll down the street and making work about that. Like so, I mean, like I don't have a particular plan, and I don't really want to operate in that way. It has to kind of just happen organically, not forced. But I really like this idea regarding this portrait project. I mean, I'm doing some more video work. I'm doing some video work regarding like dancing and like Black masculinity. So I'm working with this guy who's like learning how to dance for the first time at an older age, and because he's like kind of grappled with the idea of just when you see Black guys dancing at the clubs or something, and often the corner, or if you're doing something, maybe be perceived to be too feminine or not masculine enough. So he's looking to like break barriers in that way and break down stereotypes. And so I've been video recording him, just like this is journey of learning how to dance. And so it's been really exciting. So
that is
I'm still
exciting.
shooting that. I'm still shooting that more towards the fall. We should be done towards the fall, but yeah, I mean, just be posted and follow me on Instagram.
I will. You know what? I'm gonna go to your Instagram right now, and
it's private because I get a lot of robots. I don't know. There's a lot of, but please hit request and I will accept. Yeah.
Yes, I feel you because I've been blocking people because I had my account private for a long time. Yeah. And then I just made it public so that it could so that it could be shared so that when it goes to Twitter, people can see stuff because they're like, oh, I can't say it. It's just private. so I made it. I made it public for a little while. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah. But it does open the door to foolishness. So.
Yes. My friend's account just got hacked. They're like, oh, come, you want some Bitcoins? Come click this link. And she didn't really put the two and two together. So she got, I think the language that was used in her DM, like, hey, like it was like the same language her friend was going to use.
Yes.
So she thought it was her friend.
Yeah.
And it was not. Yeah. And the person changed her password. So anyways. Yeah, be careful.
No, I know. You have to be careful. I get them all the time. And listen, I got one from a sorority sister who wasn't my sorority sister. And I was like, see, my sorors use the right language. This ain't the right language. So I know this ain't her. So I was like, I'm not even going to open this. So I was like, no, this is not her. I know it because she would not talk to me like it was friendly enough, but
but like, something's off about this. Something's off. Yeah. Gotta be careful.
So have you because you've started, has the portrait started or
so this weekend is like is the first day to do a session, which will be held at our space, but participants should register because I just want to it's not going to be like a walk-in. That's not what I'm doing because I want to spend time talking to people. And then like if not this Saturday, the next one will be May 28th. So yes, May 21st and May 28th. It will be on the events tab on the Art Space New Haven calendar to go check it out. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to get a lot of folks to come on down. But if I think this will be a continuation. I don't think this is really going to be like after the 20th, it's done. It's it will come, and especially because it's also like we're still in COVID, even though we're
yes,
it's I want to be protected of that, people's spaces and their time and their energy and their health. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, Allison. I'm so glad that I got a chance to talk to you today. I'm so glad that you popped into the studio.
Just popped up.
And I want you to come back because I want to stay connected to this project, and I want you to talk about it as you move forward and move through it. So I want to know what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm around.
Well, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate my time speaking with you today and speaking with your audience. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right. Take good care. And Thank you, Harry, for making this work for us.
We made it work.
We do. That's what we do. We make it work.
Yes,
We make it work. And I'm so glad that we did, because I enjoyed this conversation. And I'm gonna make sure that I tell people to go and register so they can be a part of this exhibition, because this is how history is captured.
Yeah, absolutely.
This time and place. So thank you, Allison. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Okay, Harry, play us out.